So first of all, thank you very much to all the students who have shared the link of this video in their groups. And besides, thank you very much to all the students who have liked this video. So today we are going to build this contact form on in the app lab on code.org, in the Weblab, sorry, on code.org. So this is the Weblab environment, and as you already know about it very well, that there is a CSS file which is linked to this HTML file with the help of this code. Okay, so this is by default look, the kind of look that you get to see when you open Weblab on code.org platform. Now if you'll see this design, so we have one label box present right on the top over here. Then we have one more label box over here. Then below this we have an input box where we can input something, right? And after that we have again a label box. Then there is one input box. Then there is again a label which is reflecting comment. And then this is a text area, and below this text area there are two buttons, one with name comment and the second one with name clear. Fine, so we are going to design this contact form now, and whatever components you are seeing over here on this contact form, same we are going to we are going to define the code here in this HTML file in such a way that we can get the same look which we are getting over here of this contact form. So the first thing that we need to define is the code for this contact form, this thing that is getting reflected right on the top. So how can we get it reflected over here in this output window? That's what we have to check out. So for that, what we can do, we can define a div section. Okay, and let's define a class for this div section. So for now I am defining form container. Okay, and let's close this div. Fine. Now I am going to make use of legend tab. So it is completely your choice if you want to make use of legend for getting this contact form reflected on this in this output window. So you can make use of this, or else if you want to go for h1 tag, means header tag, you can go for that. So for now I am making use of this legend tag contact form. Let's enclose it within these tags. Okay, now I am going to define a label box. Okay, if you'll refresh this output window, so you'll be able to see this contact form getting reflected right on the top in this output window. Now after this contact form we have this label box, right? So for defining the label box we can make use of this tag named label, and let's write down username in between these two label tags. Okay, after that what do we have after this? We have an input box, right? So what is the code with which we can define an input box in the output window over here? So the code is this input, right? And because it's a kind of text box, so that is the reason I'm going to pass text as a value for this type attribute of this input tag. Okay, now by default I would like to see this thing username reflecting inside this input box. So how can we do that? We can make use of this placeholder attribute, and we can pass a value like this username for this placeholder field. Let's now close this input box, or else okay, or else I think we can leave it as it is, because that closing tag is not required for this input. Let's refresh this. So as you can see, the label box is also visible to me over here, and this input box is also visible to me over here in this output window. Right, now what I am going to do, I'm going to place two BR tags. Okay, and let's copy this whole thing and put it over here like this. So the next thing that we need to define is the is this label box, okay, and this input box, right? So what we have to do, the only thing that we have to change here is the value which is there in between these two label tags. So now it is going to be email, and here it is going to be, it should be username over here, then it should be email over here, right? Okay, so I think it is good to go now. If I'll refresh this page, definitely I will be able to see the email label box and this input box over here, right? So everything is perfectly fine till now. Now we have to define a label box for this comment part. So before that we need to give 2 lines of spaces. We can use BR tag for doing the same. Let's make use of this label box and put it over here like this. Now in between this label I would like to get comment reflected. So that is the reason I am writing comment over here. Let's refresh this page for checking out the output. So this here the comment is getting reflected now, and now it is a text area, right, that we need to define. So let's make use of text area, okay, and let's name it as, so it is for comment, right? So I'm naming it as comment. Fine, and in the placeholder field I would like to see whatever is getting reflected over here inside this text area. The same thing I would like to see in this text area also. Okay, so for doing that we just have to copy this thing from here. Say something nice, say something nice. Okay, so that's how you need to go if you want to make any design in HTML. Okay, using HTML, if you want to do something, then you have to go step by step. First of all, you need to identify the components that you have to define for creating that kind of design which you want to create. Okay, so I want to create this kind of design. I already have this picture in front of me, and now I'm just trying to I identify. The first thing that I did was I identified all the components, okay, and then I defined the required code over here on in this HTML window, right? I haven't defined anything till now in this CSS style sheet. Fine, it is completely blank. I haven't defined anything over here. Okay, so I haven't defined anything with which we can style these components. I will be doing it afterwards. First and foremost thing is we need to bring all the components which we are seeing over here in this output window. Okay, so for that we need to define the code first. That's what I am doing right now in front of you. Okay, so this is it. I think I need to enclose this whole thing in between the text area tags. Okay, this is perfectly fine. Placeholder, say something. Okay, this is perfectly fine. Now why is this not getting reflected over here in this field? That's what I am checking out. So this is name, the text area, this is fine. Label box, here is the input box, fine. Okay, let's now come on this. So we have 2 buttons also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define a div section again for getting the buttons reflected on this output window, and I'm enclosing everything in between these div tags. Okay, so the first div tag is this, and where it is ending at this point. Fine. Now in between these two div tags I am going to define two buttons. So for doing that we can make use of this button tag, right? So button, if the person will click this button, then I would like to let's pass a null value for this. Nothing is going to happen, right? And besides, let's get something reflected on the button. So what do we have? We have this comment getting we have this comment over here on this first button. So for getting the comment reflected on the first button, we can write down comment like this, and we can enclose this comment in between the button tags. Right, now when you'll refresh this, so you'll be able to see this button getting reflected over here in this output window, and on the head of this button this comment is also coming. Let's copy this whole thing and put it over here like this. Now in place of this comment, what do we have on the second button? It is clear, right? So we need to write down clear over here. Okay, so now we have all the components that are there on this form, right? Okay, let's now start designing this whole contact form. So for designing, we need to come on this CSS sheet. Okay, let's start designing the components. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to define the design for this form container class. And remember this thing, we have all the components inside this div. Okay, inside this division. Let's come here, and how can we access this form container class? We just have to place a dot like this, and then we can write down form container. Okay, place curly brackets like this. So this is a gray kind of color which is getting reflected over here. So background color we guys can make use of, right? Background color for giving a color to our contact form. Let's choose a color from this beautiful menu. How about this one? Okay, this is looking cool. Let's choose this one. Let's place a colon. So this semicolon is for terminating the line. It is used for bringing the cursor on the next line. Now let's define a width for the form. So let's make use of this value 350 pixels. Okay, and I would like the form to select its height automatically itself. So that is the reason I'm passing auto as a value for this height attribute. Now let's define a margin for this form. So again auto I am selecting from here, and then let's define some padding. So padding, as you all know, it's a this is the content, right? So it's a distance between the content and the sides of the form. So padding, let's pass a value for this padding, so 50 pixels. Okay, and now I'm going to, so as you can see over here, the borders are round, right? Round in shape on all the corners. So how can you make the borders round? You can make use of border radius. Okay, and then you can pass a value for this border radius. So I'm passing 20 pixels for now, and let's make the display flexible. Okay, display is going to be flexible, and flex direction, because it's vertical. All the components are aligned vertically, so that is the reason I'm going to pass flex direction. I'm going to pass center as a value for this flex direction, and sorry, not center, I'm going to pass column as a value for the flex direction, and for this justify content I'm going to pass center, because everything is getting reflected in center, right? And besides, I would like to see all the items to get reflected in center. Now when you refresh this output window, this is the kind of look you're going to get. Okay, so that's how, after once you're done with defining all the code, okay, which is required for bringing all these components over here on this output window, you can make use of this CSS things for enhancing the look of all the elements you have on this output window. So CSS is basically used for enhancing the features of the elements that you have used in an HTML document. Okay, remember this thing. Okay, let's come on the next part. So now we are going to enhance the view of the legend as well as labels. So if you want to see, we have these labels over here, right, and we have this legend. In between this legend we have this contact form, right? So I am going to enhance the features of both legend as well as label in one go. So if you are doing so, you just have to remember this thing, that you need to write down the name of the first element like this, and after that you can put a comma, and then you can write down the name of the second element. Now whatever things you are going to write down over here, suppose you want to see everything in white, okay, so this color will be applied on all the labels that you have defined on the HTML document, as well as on all the things that are between the legend tags. Okay, so as you can see, the contact form is also in white color, and all the labels are also getting reflected in white color. If you'll make it black, so that's how the look is going to change now. Everything is going to get reflected in black now. But as you can see over here, we have all the label boxes as well as the thing that we have defined in between the legend tags. Everything is in white, so that is the reason we need to pass white as a value for this color part. Okay, let's now customize this legend. Okay, now I would like to see the, if you want to increase the font size of this legend, okay, so you can make use of font size property, and then let's pass a value for this. So I'm passing 17 pixels. So now it is going to get reflected like this. If you want to see it more bigger, you can pass something like 30 pixels. Okay, so now the contact form is going to get reflected like this. Right, let's now come on margin. So if you want to define a margin or something, so you can make use of margin properties. Okay, so as you can see, the space now in between this contact form and username has increased. So this is going to increase the distance between these two things. So that's how you can customize the view of all the elements. Now let's customize the view of all the label boxes. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to customize is the font size, of course. So I'm passing 13 pixels for this font size. Okay, and display I would like to pass flex as a value for this display part. Okay, and let's define a left margin for all the label boxes. So I would like to see them at this point, 200 pixels. And so as you can see, everything has shifted in this left direction, in this right direction. Why? Because I have passed a positive value for this margin left. If you'll make it negative 200, so they all are going to shift over here in this left side. Alright, okay. Now let's customize this label. Okay, input boxes. So all these these two are input boxes. We are going to now define the code for customizing, or you can say enhancing the appearance of these two input boxes. Let me just eliminate these spaces from here. think now it is visible to every one of you, right? Input was earlier not visible to us, now it is. Okay, so input, let's define a border radius first for the input box. So for doing that, we can make use of border and then dash radius. Okay, so I'm passing 20 pixels as a value for this border radius property. Let's now we don't want to define any border for this input box. As you can see, there is no border for these input boxes over here, so that is the reason I am passing none for this border property. Now let's pass a value for the margin part. So I would like to see the margin somewhere over here. So it is for, this is for top, then this is for right, and this one is for bottom, 30 pixels, and for this one, for this side, let's pass 10 pixels for this one. Now when you refresh this page, so this is what you'll get to see. Fine. Okay, now what, we haven't passed anything for the padding part, right? Let's do the padding also. So I'm going to pass 20 pixels for padding. Yeah, now the look has got enhanced. Let's pass something for this width too. So 250 pixels I think will be fine. If you will keep on practicing these things, you will be able to make such beautiful things on your own in a much more beautiful way. Let's now customize the buttons which we have right in the bottom. So for doing that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define something for the padding part. So 10 pixels, 20 pixels for the padding part. Margin, let's make use of 0 pixels, and 15 pixels would be fine, I think. Okay, no problem. Fine, and now let's define some border radius. So border radius, I'm passing 16 pixels as a value for this border radius. Fine, and let's now change the background color also of these buttons. So I'm changing it to, I would like to see them in white. Fine, and then border, I don't want to see any kind of border for for this button, for these two buttons over here. So if you'll refresh this output window, this is what you'll get to see as an output. Fine, so these are the two buttons. Now the only thing that we are left with is this text area. Let's customize the appearance of this text area. So we need to write down text area over here. Okay, and then let's resize it first. So I'm for resizing anything, you can make use of this resize property. If you don't want to resize it, you just have to pass none as a value for this property. Then let's define a width for this. So let's make it 280 pixels. I think 280 pixels will be fine, because here we have defined 250 pixels for this input boxes, right? Now let's define a border radius. It is actually very easy. If you'll keep on doing yourself, if you'll keep on creating something new, something different in HTML, definitely you will start finding it very easy, and you will be able to develop something new if you'll keep on practicing these things yourself. So 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, and 10 pixels. Fine, text area. Now let's refresh this code and check out the output. So now this is what you're going to see. So we are done with customizing the look of this text area also, right? But the gap in between these two, this input box and this email is somewhat big. Let's eliminate this BR from here and see what is going to happen. If I'll remove all the BRs, let's refresh this code. Yeah, now it is looking perfectly fine. So if this is what you'll get to see as an output. Now if you'll run it on a new tab, let's see what is the kind of contact form we are going to see. See how beautiful this contact form is. right? So the only thing that you have to do is you need to identify the components first. If you're designing something, the first thing that you have to do is identify the components and then write down the HTML code in the HTML panel so as to bring all the components over here in this output window. Okay, this is the first thing that you have to do. Then come on the CSS file and define the CSS code so as to enhance the appearance of whatever is getting reflected over here. Okay, one way is to make use of the class names like this. Okay, what I have done for this division section, for enhancing the view of this division section, I have made use of this class. I have made use of this class. Okay, and for enhancing the view of this legend and these labels over here, I have directly used the legend and label, the element's name. Fine, so this is these are some ways in which you can access the components and enhance the appearance of those components by passing some values for these properties that we have discussed today in this lecture. Hope you guys enjoyed this one a lot. If you have any query, if you have any kind of issue, you guys are most welcome to ask me the same. Absolutely right. We see in Weblab what happens, we have everything in the form of blocks, right? But in HTML or any other programming language, we don't get any such thing. So that is the reason, things get much typical when we code in some other language, right? Any other query? Can we make this platform on the Weblab also? Yes, it is possible. Okay, everything is possible in coding, nothing is impossible here. We can make such a we can make everything, or in Weblab, or if you'll talk about Game Lab also, yes, we can do everything. But if you really want to become confident in this coding field, if you really want to want to become a good coder in your life, then I would suggest you to start practicing in using the text codes rather than making yourself dependent on that block based coding. Start practicing these text based codes so that you can do something big, you can make something big in your future. Because on the other platforms we don't have such kind of things, we don't have anything in the form of blocks. So that is the reason people prefer text based coding over block based coding. Block based coding is for beginners. If you have just begin learning coding, okay, if you have just begin, so you can go for the block based coding, and once you become confident, okay, you can shift to the text based coding after that. So thank you very much for attending this lecture. Do like and share this video in your group so that more and more students can come and join the channel and enjoy these free online coding classes. Definitely in future you will get to see many other new coding classes, many other new things on this channel, and definitely I will keep this thing in mind that it will be beneficial for each and every one of you. Okay, and if you have any new thing in your mind, if you have any plans in your mind, you can share it with me in the chat box. Okay, make use of the comment section, share your ideas, share your opinions. Definitely I am going to go through each and everything, and in the next lecture I will try to take everything whatever is possible for me. Thank you very much. God bless you all and have a great day. Bye bye.